are looking at trading the MYM, which is actually the micro mini Dow futures, and I'm using real money today. And we have been trading the S&P, but I've just kind of recently discovered the Dow actually requires a little bit less of an initial margin requirement. So it's something I've been just kind of playing around with. And also it's very interesting, especially right now. I'm having trouble determining and analyzing the S&P. And so I was going to the Dow and kind of comparing the two. And we'll talk more about that later. But they often track each other, but they don't exactly go the same place at the same time. So anyway, it's been an interesting experiment lately to just kind of compare the two. Okay, so what we're seeing, we made a peak here at the beginning of April on the Dow, and then it dropped back down and made a higher low than we did here. And then it made a lower high than it did over here. And then it's dropped back down again. So now we're trying to figure out what's next. And we can see on the 180-day 4-hour chart here that we have the blue SMA, which is our 180-day SMA, which is a very common one that's used. It's the longest term one that I use. And I went ahead and put in a blue line right there, which is where that 4-hour SMA, or excuse me, where the blue SMA is currently on that chart. So we're very, very close to it. So it's possible, kind of seeing a downtrend through here, that it's possible it will get down to that point and then maybe bounce off. I'm not positive at that point. If it breaks through, we're definitely going to see some more lows. But since the MACD down here is really, really low and it looks like it's turning up, I would say that is going to be giving us enough momentum to bounce at that point. So I am looking at a drop here for a little while, but not too far. And so I have a short order here, and I actually got executed very quickly, and then it jumped up. Now the thing with the Dow, on the mini Dow, you can see the numbers are way, way bigger than what we've been trading with on the S&P. And since, like this movement right here, that equals about $20 right there. And I've used these buttons right over here, and they're barely on the screen, but just kind of to zoom in on the AT ladder so that I'm not looking at every single dollar amount that's shown. I'm looking at maybe, I like to see it where there's about 4 or 5 numbers that are showing, and that equals about $10, because that just gives me a little bit better feel for what I'm aiming for. Okay, so yes, it did go back. It went up there, and I'm in a bad position, but I'm still kind of looking at the longer term, and I'm seeing, that we're making lower lows right through here. So I'm not too worried at this point, just kind of watching it. The time here is 9:09, so we've got about a half an hour, 20 minutes before the opening bell. A lot can happen then, and it's really, really slow right now. And you can see already it's, moved enough that I've only lost about $8 here from the 20 just a few seconds ago. So it moves pretty quickly. And here we are actually in the green here, and it's starting to drop a little bit. And now this is the opening bell. This is 9:30 right now. And I was very happy to see that we immediately started to drop as soon as that opening bell hit. And you can see on all of the charts, especially the short ones, we are making lower lows. So that's also very encouraging. The MACD is pretty low right there. But we're almost to that point that I thought I was going to get to. And I got out of that position at a $25 profit, and there's about a $5 commission, give or take 50 cents. So that made me about 20 bucks on that first trade, which was really, really, really good when I've only got $1,500 invested right now. It's actually less than that because this requires, I think, a $1,300 initial margin. So essentially, I'm only investing $1,300 when I trade this. All right, so now we're looking at the possibility of it turning up. We are seeing the MACD start to develop a bit of a hook right here. We've actually reached that blue line right through here where I thought it probably would go and then bounce from. So I'm kind of expecting a bounce. And you can actually see there is a green candle right there that bounced pretty much from that point. The other thing that you can see here, I played around with the Fibonacci lines this morning, and I put in Fibonacci lines showing that it was going to go up here at this point. I think I changed that later. Yes, here's the next one. I put in a Fibonacci line showing it's going to go down using much tighter time frame here. The first one was in April, and then the end of April, and then the third point was recently, very recently, like a week or so ago. And it's showing kind of the way it's interacting with the Fibonacci line, like right through here and actually right through here. That tells me that I'm on the right track with that, that's actually probably a pretty good thing to look at for indicating what's going to happen. All right, so I'm just kind of waiting for it to bounce and seeing how far up it might go. And when we hit this level right here, which was the Fibonacci line there, it started to drop. And so I decided to get in another short. So I got in a short here. And I don't expect it to go down too far, but we're at a place right here where even, just this movement right here, I'd be very happy with. So I put in my exit order down here, right at that blue line. And there it is. And I got executed. And the second order, I made $20 as well. So now I'm up to 45 with 2 commissions. So that's, $10 and $11 that you take out of that. Very happy with today's trading. It is almost 10 o'clock at this point. And so these trades are taking a very, very long time to execute. All right. And now we are showing a bounce again, possibly on that level that I suspected it would bounce from. So we are seeing a possibility of it going up. So I went ahead and got in a long right here, right there near the bottom where it is right now. So that was a pretty good place to get in. And I put in my exit order, not too great of a distance away. And it isn't really on an SMA here. I just kind of threw it in the middle. I could bring it up to that point, but that's a pretty big trade. So, and it's also getting late enough. I need to wrap it up here soon. So I would be happy with that amount of trade. Okay, and it dropped below it just a little bit, caused me a little bit of concern, but the MACD is looking like it might tip up. So I'm not too worried at this point. Okay, and all of a sudden it just shot up there and executed, and I made good on that third trade as well. There we go, my trades. Okay, so the 3 trades that I made today, the third trade I only made like, $5 or $6, but the first 2 were 25 and 20. And so I was very happy with the trades that I made. I thought that worked out pretty well this morning. So while I'm doing this, I also have another screen open where I'm trading paper trading on a much shorter time frame, just to keep my mind active, and it also helps me to kind of analyze this as well. So it's been a good way for me to trade, I think, as long as I'm not getting overwhelmed or getting too many things that I need to analyze all at once. Okay, so now you can see the paper trading that I did, and you can see that the Dow, all the stocks in the Dow are usually included in the S&P 500, and so the S&P is a much broader index than the Dow, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So the way I think of it is that what's happening in the Dow is affecting the S&P kind of more than the other way around. It's very interesting, and it really helped me this morning at least to figure out when to hang on to positions and when to maybe get out. So my first trade here, and again, I'm not focused so much on the paper trading because obviously when I'm trading real money, that needs to be my priority. And if I need to make a choice between placing an order on one and not the other, I'm going to choose the real money one. Okay, so that being said, the first trade that I made here, now we're going all the way back to 9 o'clock in the morning. It's 9:02. All right, and I thought it was probably going to drop, and so I got into a short, and it did, and it dropped down. And remember, on the S&P, the ES, it takes very little movement to get quite a bit of money. So the first trade here, we're already at 150 at that point, but I missed it. I just was just a little bit greedy, and I had it one tick too low, and it didn't execute. And so I lost that opportunity to get out of that trade at a profit. And it immediately went back up above where I had gotten in. And I still thought probably it would drop back down again, so I hung on. And it does look like it's turning over here at this point. Okay, so now we're back into the green. And it is just after the opening bell at this point here. And remember, I said on the previous the MYM that I was trading with the real money, at opening bell, it had a big drop. And you can see that on this one as well. You can see that big red candle right at the drop. So I was hopeful that it was going to drop back down. However, on the S&P, you can see that the trend line is going up. And you can see that the green channel that I had drawn over here, I kind of suspect it will go flat until it gets to meet that channel, that green channel, or drop down to that point. That's what I'm expecting. That is a pretty good support level right there. So I think I'll be okay in this trade, but we'll see. Okay, at 9:33, I went ahead and put in an order for a reverse. So I would be in a long. I'm going to get out at a very small profit and then get in at a long. And it didn't execute, and I missed it, and then so it went up above. And actually, so I'm in a lost position right here, trying to do a reverse. Okay, here we go. I got into a reverse, and the price started to go up a little bit more, and then it started to tip over. So I put in my exit order to get out right here. And that, I think, looking at the 15-minute chart and just the peaks that it's formed over here, I think that's a pretty good spot to get out, but it didn't execute there either. So, if I had been watching it and trading only this, I don't know that I would have traded this exactly the same way. But at any rate. Okay, so we can see that it made a big drop and kind of it's showing signs of it's dropping, which I saw on the Dow, but it wasn't as easy to see on this one. It dropped back down, and I'm still in a long position. So hanging on to that original trade would have been the thing to do. I just kind of, I guess, made the wrong decision there. So now I'm at a loss of like 337 on this paper trading account. And I do think it's probably going to go up. The MACD is looking like it's turning. This is looking like it's turning. We haven't quite gotten down to the bottom of the channel. However, it's really, really, really close. And this gold SMA here is maybe going to act as support. We're also seeing this orange line right here, which is kind of what it's playing around right here. That is the orange SMA, which is the 20 SMA on the 4-hour chart. So I decided, well, I just don't think this is going to work. I think it's going to drop back down some more. So I did another reverse order right here at a loss of 362 and got executed. So now I'm going to play this as if it's going to drop some more in short. And I'm hoping to get back some of those losses that I made in that trade. Looking good. Now we are almost touching that bottom of that channel right there, which I think is very interesting. It doesn't show up. The channel information The points there that make that channel where it is are not showing up on this chart. And so the green line is not really where the channel is. It's really close, but it's not quite. So we're going to look at these charts to figure that out. And so I went ahead and put in an exit order here at a profit. So that's good, 162-ish right there that I would make. Okay, so I've gotten out of that trade and then now at $175 loss and trying to figure out the next move. And it's almost 10 o'clock. Now it looks like the MACD is starting to turn up here. We can see green candles here. And that's where I would have expected it to bounce. And so I put in a long order at this point. And that was beautiful. It started to go up very quickly. However, I don't think, oh yes, I did get in. Excuse me. I just got in and got out very quickly. Okay, so now I'm out and I've whittled that down to $75 loss. And it does look like it might be bouncing. We shall see. It dropped back down a little bit, but then hit this support of these SMAs right through here. So that's very encouraging. I think maybe it's going to go up again. So I got into a long at that point, right at those SMAs right there. However, the cause for concern is right here. The MACD looks like it's about ready to tip over. And it did, but it didn't really go down very far, and maybe a little bit, but not too bad. I mean, that's not much of a loss right there. And so I'm very hopeful that, it does that once in a while. It'll come back down, but if it hits a higher point than it did previously, I do think that's a good sign that it's probably going to be continuing that bounce. It just takes a while for people to realize it and then to get into a long. I think at this point, it's still a little bit iffy. So I went ahead and got into a long position here and going to ride it up, hopefully, to that point. Looking good. My exit order is right at that blue SMA. And I accidentally put in a screenshot of the other one. All right, so now back to this. This is my paper trading, and it looks like it probably will hit it. And it did. And I got out, and that was 5 trades on this one, $112.50. Not too bad. So when it dropped back down, I decided that yes, we were going to be bouncing at this point, and I got into a long and rode it up. And I'm going to ride it up to this point, which is a good trade, and dropped it down just a couple ticks to make sure it would get filled, and executed. And in 6 trades, I made $237.50.